Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of April 11th, 2011. Thank you for being at the site. Thank you to the old members for coming back. Thank you for the new members for joining. And I'm just having a great time. The Ask Video Mail is your chance as a member to get a question in animation or performance answered on video. So if you haven't asked a question yet, this is the best way to interact with this site. You really ought to ask a question. It's very easy. All you have to do is send an email to webmaster@kennyroy.com, and I go through all the questions that I'm asked, and I answer the ones that I think will help the most members on this site. It's going great. I'm having a heck of a lot of fun, and it seems like the questions are really spurring some really good responses. So it's just going fantastically, and I couldn't be happier about the way the site is going. So thank you again to all the members. Thank you for your support. Please tell your friends. The testimonial bonus program is going to be is still always going to go. So you can always get that 5 days free for writing a testimonial about the site. And also the referral program is permanent as well. So anytime you refer a member, make sure you have them put your exact username into the subscription form, and you will be awarded free time for them signing up. So there's a lot of great ways to earn free time here on this site. But again, the best way to interact is to get a question answered on the Ask Video Mail. Now, it doesn't just have to be an animation question, like, oh, where's this button in Maya, or anything like that. It can be a performance question. It can be, you know, how would you prepare for animating a shot for that is an emotion you've never felt before, like, you know, loss of a family member or birth of a child, or something like that. You know, anything you really are struggling with in animation or performance, I'd love to answer. So, you know, let those ideas stew around in your head and ask away. Don't be afraid. Go ahead and ask a question. Like I said, I answer the questions that I do believe are going to help the most people, and this question has been asked many times. I think the total count is 6 times this has been asked, and I've been waiting to do this because I wanted to find you know, the right moment and kind of the right overall approach to talking about this. So this is paraphrased, but this week's video mail question is: reference. If you've seen the Advanced Workflow lecture, you know that video reference is a very big part of a very well-rounded planning process. If you've seen the lip sync video, you know that video reference plays a part with lip sync, but it is a very dangerous game when you're using video reference really closely with facial animation. Obviously, we start going away from video reference when we start doing cartoony animation. We really start stretching those limits and breaking those limits. If you've seen the cartoony lecture, these are all in the archive in the store, so you can go check those out. You know that in cartoony animation that we really take a very realistic approach, but what you're taking video reference of and referring to with a video reference is not going to be actually the character at all. If it's a character that gets squished like gets squashed down and then they spring back up like a spring, you're probably going to reference, you know, an accordion or springs or something like that. So you're going to be gathering a lot of kind of oddly related video reference if you're doing cartoony animation and not really like characters or anything like that. But the primary video reference is for acting shots and for, you know, physical full body performance shots and physical actions. So I want to just start out. This is a link to just one YouTube video. So it's the one that I'm showing right now, which it doesn't have to be the one that you refer to, but I just wanted to like go through it and just talk about a couple of the things that these animators started doing. First thing is right here. the first point I wanted to make is that when you're using video reference, you shouldn't take any video references. You're going to get hurt doing it. One funny thing that I remember was they were doing video reference for Jurassic Park, and I think one of the animators like tripped over a trash can in the parking lot and broke his arm, which is it's sad. I feel bad for the guy, but it's also kind of funny. So. One thing right here is if these animators were trying to get reference of them falling, well, they're not actually getting really what they need because they're not actually fully committing to this fall. She is, but she's really actually taking the fall kind of interestingly. So for physical actions. For things like that, like impacts, hits, falls, slips, those kinds of things, unless you're like really comfortable, falling, and you've been maybe trained in stage combat, or you're a stuntman or something like that, I would really try to use video reference that is found rather than recording your own video reference for those kinds of things. And if it is that kind of situation, you're most likely going to want to pretty much copy the video reference because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be working on a shot that the realism of that shot and the weight of that action and just like the successive breaking of joints of that action, for instance, is going to be scrutinized really closely. So the proper way to use video reference of those extreme physical actions is to not stray from it very, very far. In fact, it's kind of the least creative animation when you're doing, for instance, a body, getting hit by a car. In fact, we're working on a shot like that for a TV pilot right now at the studio, and the challenging part about it is to keep that. To do something that looks good, but keep that realism in there, and so you can't stray very far. One thing that's that's nice about this is this shot where this guy rolls down this hill. Why? Because he kind of starts losing control, and if you look, there is actually some really good reference in here of how fast. You can have the character roll and where the joints are going. It's interesting because his legs, specifically his legs, are kind of corkscrewing around each other right here. And it's just very interesting to me to see that the legs, they obviously, because this is a real live human being, they're not going to intersect, they're not going to they're not going to break model, right, of course, but I just think it's very interesting how quick it can go but still maintain, that speed. So that's really good reference right there. Here again is another one of this girl, but she's falling over, and this part of the animation is good. Like, hey, I'm proud of myself, but she really broke her fall right there, and that is not a very good exhausted fall. Okay, really, I love these people. I mean, they took just some super interesting video reference, weight tests, very just interesting weight moments. And stuff like that. So you definitely check out on YouTube for video reference for the realistic stuff. So for realistic stuff, you need to stay pretty close to your video reference and find stuff that is going to be good for you, not be watered down or unprofessionals, or the best stuff is obviously someone actually getting hit by a car, but you can't really watch that stuff. Unless it makes you sad. So I haven't watched any people get hit by a car for this shot that I'm doing. Okay, so that's with realistic. With cartoony stuff, again, I go very deep into this in the cartoony lecture. But for cartoony stuff, when you are deciding what physical situation you want to create, what impression you want to give, So if it's a person, shooting out of screen like a rubber band, then you're going to reference rubber bands or bungee cords or whatever, and you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. So unlike the really super physical stuff where there's danger, don't put yourself in danger. What cartoony stuff? Sure, take some shots of rubber bands, scrunchies, whatever it is, for that shot. If it's let's say it's a character getting, what's a good example? Oh, like they're so happy that they jump in the air and then they flap their feet like wings, but they hold somehow they stay in the air just by like kicking their legs like that. Well, maybe you want to reference some characters with wings, right? Or so what would look good? Probably a bird would be too slow, and it would be too bending and whatever. But maybe a butterfly. You might want to reference a butterfly. Make it look like he weighs as much as an insect, or maybe a fly, like a house fly. Stiff, quick moving wings. You might have some good reference there. And then build that into whatever you're referencing in terms of the performance. So if it's the character is so excited, you might want to shoot some reference of yourself. You could even be sitting or standing, just going like that, like oh. And then when the character does the jump, you combine that really committed, nicely posed, full body performance with the kicking feet, and all of a sudden the whole thing will just really feel like it actually, even though it's cartoony, it exists in our world. You always want to reference, I'll say it again, with cartoony animation, you always want to reference real things. You don't want to invent or arbitrarily break physics. And that's normally what animators do, is they just arbitrarily do that, and the result is something that's just not fun to watch, okay? So that's with cartoony animation. So we have realistic, we have cartoony, and then there's the other stuff that is, really, obviously all you have is reference. That's things like, animals. If you're animating an animal and you've never seen the animal before, it will blow your mind how differently different animals move. Even if you've done one kind of walk cycle, like a quadruped walk, that doesn't even apply to all different quadrupeds. A tiger and a giraffe and a lizard and a gorilla all walk completely differently and all have different footfall patterns. And so that's why I want to just plug right now the Animals and Creatures course at animationmentor.com, which the webcast is on a link right now over here. So this video is coming out on Monday. If you're free tomorrow, or if it's Tuesday when you're watching this, 1 p.m., the banner is right over there. It's the Animate Believable Creatures or Animals and Creatures webcast, okay? And I'm going to be flying up to Animation Mentor headquarters. Check it out. Quick plug right now, but I really just want to emphasize how important learning how to reference video for animals really is, and this course is fantastic for it. I'm a mentor in that course right now. Okay, so with realistic, you need to stay very, very close to the reference, and you need to make sure it's done professionally. So if it's a soccer player, you're doing a soccer shot, get a soccer player who knows what they're doing. If it's a person like getting hit by a car, you've got to get it like a stuntman or very realistic reference. Don't try to do that stuff yourself. And then for the more you go away from realistic towards cartoony, reference yourself for the performance, and then reference whatever you want to create an impression for the impression. For animals, you need to be, animals is basically back in the realistic realm. You need to be very, very, very diligent in getting great reference for the exact movement you want, okay? And then finally, moving into the body, lip sync, and I do go into this into the lip sync lecture, but with lip sync, only reference one thing at a time with the facial animation. That is, don't like copy the lip position and the jaw position from watching facial animation, because you'll just get soupy, or conversely, like really chattery, just unreadable animation. So one at a time, like either watch the jaw and animate the jaw, because you should be animating your lip sync in passes, jaw, and then lips, narrow, wide, and then the lips. So either just jaw or just lips, but never the entire thing you're seeing with video reference for lip sync. I don't use video reference for lip sync. I don't actually really recommend it, only because we can speak and read a real human's lips much faster than you can in animation. So you have to pick and choose the poses that you flash in front of the audience to make the lip sync readable. So video reference is not actually super helpful for lip sync, but it's good for facial animation. Definitely, again, just like you are referencing yourself for your full body pose with a cartoony performance and then maybe butterfly wings for your feet, right? In that shot, maybe you want to take a pass at your facial expression and pick and choose poses from that, and then the lip sync you use your really good well-defined lip sync workflow, like the one that's in the lip sync lecture, to really get those lips right on. Okay, so thanks. I hope this answers everybody's question in terms of how to use video reference, what should you be referencing. It all boils down to this: as realistic as you want to be, you need to stay much closer to it, and don't hurt yourself. And look for physical things in realistic animation, like gravity and weight and the timing of those physical things, okay? And you should be fine. It's really good that you're all asking about video reference, because it's good that you're all doing video reference, all right? So I'm very happy about that. Don't forget to send your questions in if you want your question answered in an Ask Video mail. It's very easy. Just send an email to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I sift through them all and answer the ones I think will help the most people. I'm having a great time on this site. Go to the webcast. Check out that link right over there. All right, sign up and show up Tuesday, April 12th at 1 p.m. in the webinar, and a little shout out to my animals and creatures students at Animation Mentor right now. It's a fantastic course. You really ought to check it out. Even if you're a professional animator, there's just some absolutely mind-blowing concepts in there. All right, so thanks again for being a part of the site. Keep sending your questions to me. Good luck with your work, and as always, rock on.